Okay, so we established
I'm not. I'm just a
Yeah, she's a
liaison.
liaison.
She's very well. She's needed.
I would have never known.
Yeah.
No, I'm.
So we're calling it. We have a quorum. It's 4:37-ish. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
And is there a second?
I second.
All in favor? Approved. We have the agenda. Item 3, the public is invited to present petitions, make announcements, or provide other information to the commission that is relevant to the scope of authority of the city of Blue Lake that is not on the agenda. The commission may provide up to 15 minutes for this public input session. To assure that each individual presentation is heard, the commission may uniformly impose time limits of 3 minutes to each individual presentation. The public will be given the opportunity to address items that are on the agenda at the time the commission takes up each specific agenda item. Public, would anyone like to address the commission at this time? Nope. Thank you for joining us. Moving on, item number 4, Blue Lake Branding and Signage Project Update Discussion.
Yeah, so I had hoped that I would have a little bit more to present to you guys, but it's taking a little bit longer to kind of get some imagery. But I'm not couldn't remember if we talked about this last time. But the city is now working with Visual Concepts, so Noah, and we have started to kind of funnel to him some of the information that the city and the EDC and through some of our other scoping sessions that we had started to develop identity-wise of Blue Lake, like what are some of the kind of iconic imagery that we feel kind of associates ourselves as Blue Lake, whether it's sunshine, recreation, the river, different aspects of nature. And so we're starting to kind of funnel some information to Noah. We started kind of feeding back and forth some idea boards. And I had hoped that we would have something this time to give to you, but I know he took this project on even though he's a little swamped right now, but just because he's really excited about it and wants to work with Blue Lake and eventually maybe also move his business out here. So that's exciting as well. But so we're still just working through some of that kind of exchange of information and ideas. I did send him all of the work that we did when you guys first started years ago to talk about branding and what is Blue Lake, and we started kind of first talking about signage and things. So that was really good information to share with him, just to kind of get a feel and to see how much work has actually been put into this thought process. Because even though it seems like it's been a long time coming, there's been a lot of work that the EDC especially has done to kind of get us to the point where we're starting to think about marketing ourselves on a different level. So that's just kind of a quick update. And I don't know if you guys had any thoughts or any ideas or things that you wanted to, for me to relay. I think at some point we'll have Noah come in and do kind of a presentation. We had talked originally about the council had directed, I think it was the council directed us to put this out as kind of like signage as like a contest. And that, we didn't receive.
Actually, I think it was us.
What,
Yeah, it was sort
Yes.
of like let's see if we can get the community involved. And
so that didn't really pan out, which is completely okay in my book because I don't really feel like branding is really a contest type. I think there's so much behind branding.
I agree.
When you look at people's reaction to imagery, colors, typography, sizing. So we did relay some imagery that had been created, though, that we felt was kind of reflective, that had gotten some good feedback in the community and from our different user groups. So, I think we're at a point now where we're like, we have a need for a more professional, pulled together look, which is good.
it's not something for us to get the crayons out and start working on it. No.
I was nervous about it, honestly. I was like, oh gosh, I mean, I get the idea, but I also, like I said, there's a whole platform for this type of marketing that you really need that, you need that branding to also translate over to your social media. You need it to be, on your print products, your merchandise, your signage. Like there's a whole host of areas where this type of imagery and product needs to art projects are great and they have a place, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to do things in the future with murals or different things, but not so much, your gateway branding. So anyways, I just wanted to give you a quick update. And like I said, I apologize that there's not more to give to you this month. I'm hoping that next month we'll be further ahead in the process. But that is a project that's moving forward.
And that includes signage.
Yeah, so it really started about the gateway sign and
Right.
the entry to Blue Lake.
And we had that conversation.
That
Yeah.
conversation has been ongoing for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And so we've been working with the chamber as well, and Justin's been working on some upgrades to the chamber sign, because you kind of have like the chamber sign, and then the idea was to then have kind of a welcome to Blue Lake sign as well that kind of fit well with it. But the chamber sign is a little bit more about organizations and businesses and things, where the sign to Blue Lake was kind of like a welcome into our community, so getting them in sync is really important, and that's something that we've also said to NOAA. It's something that the chamber is now working on too, looking at their sign is how will this start to connect so that we have, kind of a cohesive entry, because it's pretty important. You come into Blue Lake and it's like, where do you go? What do you see? Kind of what's your first perception? Is it a town or is it just a neighborhood? Because when you first come in, it's like, you're not coming into like a city center, you're coming into a residential neighborhood. So how do we start to, transition people into, the different areas of the community where we'd like them to conduct commerce or recreate things. So signage becomes a real critical element. So. And I know Elizabeth would love for us to get rid of our vinyl signs. So
I think all of those signs need to be replaced first.
they're so easy.
Yeah.
The vinyl.
Oh,
You can't.
we actually have an opportunity for public input if the public would like to make input.
Well, just for the Grange, we just had one made, and rather than toting around that big wooden thing
Yeah.
for so many years,
Oh yeah, I saw that.
it's so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because we have Paradise K now who can make the signs for us. So we do use them quite a bit. The nice thing is we reuse them. So we are getting better at, creating kind of like we have a karaoke one that's being developed.
Oh.
It's a series of karaoke events. And so we'll have the sign, but then we can put our own dates on it. So we don't have to have new signs created. We can reuse them. And so it does allow us to get some good exposure, because at the roundabout and then at the museum strip are the two areas where we get the most traffic. So it does, people are circulating and seeing those signs constantly. So it is really helpful without having to do, billboards anymore, different things. And, we're mixing up our marketing with radio commercials, and we're starting to expand on that a little bit more too. So yeah, it's just, it's kind of a learning curve, and but we're kind of reaching the next level of professionalism. That is not just Mandy and Emily making flyers anymore. We're starting to have a need for the true pros to come in and kind of help us get to the next steps.
Jean, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm just, it's more of a question. I understand that the goal is to have Blue Lake as a recreational area. I've been hearing that recreation area for Humboldt County in Northern California, and I was just wondering if that's something that you are working on as far as developing signage, say up on Greenwood. Here's and then an arrow. This is a good walking area.
Yeah, I think Blue Lake is already a bit of a recreation area, and I think that the goal of the signage is just to better direct people, um, not so much create new recreation opportunities, but just outlay what we already have. And I think as more come, uh,
Bike park.
yeah, bike park, different things, just and signage is just important. If you go to any city, you see signs everywhere of where to go, and uh-huh,
That are parking and then their dogs for walks.
sure.
If they're parking on Greenwood,
Mm-hmm.
Greenwood is not really people friendly. And maybe there could be some signs, walking areas, and an arrow
A trail map or something.
Yeah, something that instead of trying to juggle the pedestrian crosswalks with your dog going along Greenwood and fighting the traffic, that it could be more uh, beneficial for people to know. Okay, well, there's a walking area
Like
that
the
way.
arena or something, down by the arena.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, because the traffic on Greenwood has not decreased; it's increased. I'm surprised it's increased, and for people that don't know the town, and having to navigate coming across, coming down Greenwood, trying to get access down here, it's a hard thing to do, even if you know the town.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a good point.
Noted.
It is.
Thank you.
Now, in some communities, what they do, and I don't know if maybe it's something they don't do anymore, where they actually have something on the radio where, you go to a channel and it kind of tells you what to do or where to go. Is that still, I mean, that was something that was pretty popular a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like you could do that when you go into like a national park or the state parks, where they say tune to this station. And
Oh,
like we're at Fern Canyon and look pretty cool.
interesting.
I don't know. I'm not really sure how that works or how you get like a dedicated channel like that.
At this point, it'd be like Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah,
Or
I don't
Google
know.
Maps.
Yeah.
Put like a little
Right.
public parking areas.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, that's one
Oh,
of the things that we are looking at, though, is just how we kind of take that leap from being like creating flyers to jumping to social platforms, so that we're not, I think what Blue Lake needs to do is not take the baby steps necessarily, but take a bigger leap. And so that we're kind of bypassing that learning curve and jumping into, the next generation of, recreation enthusiasts and, and commerce, where we're really tapping into the different ways that people receive information now.
Mhm.
And so that's something that, especially working with Noah, he's pretty in touch with different social media platforms, and that's a whole part of the branding, is making sure that you have imagery that translates across platforms. So that was one of the things when we met with him, we talked a lot about, he'll give us a brand, a logo, but that logo will then be able to be used, like if you wanted to use it on letterhead, if you wanted to use it on a sweatshirt, if you want to use it on your social media, it's got to be able to be sized. So it's got to go horizontal, vertical, square, round, so
You have the right file types and
right,
dimensions.
and so that it's recognizable, and you're not creating something that then kind of gets, goofed up in the pieces. And I've done that where I create something, then I go to print it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it on the wrong layout. And now it's not as easy just to be like, you just change the layout, and it's like everything's off, and it doesn't look right anymore. It doesn't bleed across the page appropriately. And so that's something that when he creates these logos and brands, it comes with a whole subset of features that you can use, which is really nice, because that'll really help us. So
Is the thought that we'll have a different city logo? Meaning, right now the redwood tree,
yeah.
and so this will be.
Yeah. So what we've kind of asked him to look at is kind of, the gateway signage, and then kind of a logo, but then also a way, they call them badges. And I don't know if you've seen, like, in different, especially recreation communities, we did a lot of research on, like, kind of some of the top recreation destinations, whether it's if you're going biking, you're looking at like Whistler, and like Bigger Place, Blackcomb for skiing, and different places, Utah for mountain biking and rock climbing. And they create these badges that kind of translate to each type of activity. And so it's like the biking, and it's like
Gas, food, lodging
it's got
type.
this kind of imagery, and they're all connected, whether it's just through color or shape, but they highlight different recreation activities. And so we've asked them to kind of focus on that as well, because that also lends itself to merchandising. So that brand then starts to translate to, that new hat that we're selling, or the new sweatshirt that's coming out or that we're launching, or the new Yeti cup with our, image on it. So trying to, get ourselves set up to also for the commerce side of things too. So that's kind of some of the thought process that we've been going through, and really kind of focusing on those recreation destinations and what are some of the best practices and where. And so instead of kind of like I said, kind of fumbling through it, it's like let's just find the top ones that are doing it really well, and kind of pull from what they're
Yeah.
doing, so that we're kind of taking a bigger leap. So, but I think it'll be fun. It's
The
I know I
Redwood
have a
Trail
whole,
will be here.
the what?
The Redwood
Yeah, the
Trail.
Great
Yeah,
Redwood Trail.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's what we've kind of talked about. The rails to trails. The trail town. I mean, I think Blue Lake. Just having that mindset, like I tell everyone, like Blue Lake is the recreation destination for the North Coast. Like that's something that we're already doing and we're pretty good at, and we can get better at it. And it's something that no one else is really doing. So why not make that our thing? And that's do you want to see?
Yeah, here, take this. Yeah, because I'm not actually a speaker.
I mean, so sorry. I apologize.
Oh,
It'd be late.
no,
I've been at
work meeting, so.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
So is there a timing on this, or it's just as my
I'd like to get this done fairly quickly.
Yes.
I mean, I'd like to, by summer have an installation going in. The nice thing is, he'll get it queued up so that it can just be produced. He knows that like kind of our price point, we're not going for the $10,000, iconic sign right now, but we're kind of like, let's go for the kind of mid range, but it's got to be able to be fabricated quickly.
Are you
So,
talking at the roundabout?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And kind of the development of our logo and our
Yeah.
brand and that imagery. So, yeah. So that's, he's queuing us up for that, but also to start taking those next steps too, to kind of go for, future stuff. So, yeah.
That's no other visual concept.
Yep, I've known Noah since he was a little
You
boy.
right?
Is there any of the drawings that you gave us in a prior handout a number of months ago, or any of those coming to fruition? Or
You know what? I can't even remember what I handed out months ago. So I can't say, but we have just been feeding him a lot of imagery and then saying like, here are things that seem like they look good. I don't know if they're going to lend itself, and we're going to let him kind of take that and synthesize it. And he's so tuned in to Blue Lake and to recreation. So and he's younger and kind of gets all of it. So I'm like, I don't want. And he's an artist
and very outdoors?
and very outdoor. And he's out here 5 days a week riding bikes.
So
going
he's
to
seen quite a bit of.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's very involved. His little girl loves the skating rink, so they're out here every Friday night skating. They've had birthday parties out here, but he rides the mountain biking trails. He's part of RCMBA and stuff. So, yeah.
And there's a committee that's on this project.
Did we create a committee?
Wasn't
I
there
don't
like
think
a contest?
Yeah, but
For
that
a
didn't
minute?
go anywhere.
Yeah.
So we brought it back, and now we're just kind of turning it over. So the next step, I was just telling these guys I had hoped to have something more for you guys to look at. You're really kind of the sounding board for this, and then eventually it'll go to council for final. But so we've taken everything that you guys have been working on over the years, and and kind of fed that to him, and then we've looked at some co-imagery on some. He's given us some different sites and things to look at for typography and all of that too. So we've just been like, hey, here are things that we all like and kind of look good, but what we'll see what he comes up
But we
with.
want it to be cohesive and
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
don't want to
absolutely.
overthink it.
Mhm.
He's the artist. This is what he does for a living. He creates a lot of the brands and logos, not only here but up and down the state. So
I'm sorry, I was late. Who are we talking about?
Noah with Visual Concepts in Arcata.
And
Yeah.
really, it's only, I've counted it out going through the roundabout. It's only about a 3 second.
Exactly. And that's so important. And
Yeah,
that's
I
one of
mean,
the
You mean
things
you
that
can't read all of those signs?
no, and that's, that's a very, I
unless you're
know when I
stuck there.
worked
Too
in
many words.
Trinidad, that was,
Yeah.
we would drive by billboards and count.
Yeah.
You can see it now, and we'd count how, so that marketing would know.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's critical. And that's something that we've been doing even with our banner signs. And in fact, the one we did for the Grange, it's like, it's really simple, but that was the thought that people only have so much time to read it. So you really
Yeah.
can't have much.
You
You
don't
just
want to
have
create a
kind
traffic hazard.
and you don't want people looking at it and driving into it.
I don't know if
too, so.
anybody saw the Manila sign that they recently put up, but I thought that came out
Mhm.
really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, some basic,
Look for that,
you know,
yeah.
you want something that people can read that's not distracting but does catch their attention. And it just should direct you to the next bank of signs where you start to get more detailed information, so it's not there to be the catch-all. It's just there to be represent Blue Lake, and direct you to, keep going,
Right.
come into town. So
Exciting.
yeah.
Noah does great.
Yeah, he does good work.
Does the public have any more comment on this item? Commission?
Yeah, move on. I say.
Right, item 5, spring event programming. How exciting.
Yeah. So unfortunately we had a clogged sewer line over the park. And so Emily is not here right now. We've been dealing with this for 2 days. Someone thought it was a great idea to take all the paper towels and put them down the toilet, not piece, but like in a long strip. So
Sorry,
there's
guys.
like
I was bored.
so it just all
Time to
got
get air dryer hands.
sucked down, and yeah.
Are any of the varmints on camera, perhaps?
We yes.
Okay.
To a certain extent, it's not completely definitive, but it's
Oh.
definitive enough that we've taken some action.
Are they kids?
There's kind of a split difference on, I believe it's kids, and there's a thought that it's someone else, but I feel like it's at least a 2-man operation. You got to have someone,
Yeah.
pulling the handle and someone
Two
feeding
hands
it,
stuck
pushing,
there.
It's like
So that's how they did
the
it.
whole thing down.
Flushing
Yeah.
it until it plugged.
Yeah. So, but it made it, we got it
Yeah.
halfway down the line, and then it got stuck underneath Crash Hall. So, they're all working on that. But
Good
I
Lord.
can just kind of give an update. We have a lot of programming that we just launched. We've got drop-in basketball for the
Oh.
kids, drop-in pickleball, and they're getting ready to also schedule drop-in adult basketball. So that'll be good. We haven't had really access to the gym because we've been renting it to different schools to do basketball games. So it's great. It's been rental income, and it's getting used, but we hadn't been able to do a lot of drop-in activities. And so
Cool.
we're now being able to launch the drop-in stuff. We did start our karaoke series, and I don't know if I can't remember where we were last month. If I don't think we had our first one yet.
No, it was coming up.
Okay, so we had our first karaoke night, and it was super fun. And what we're doing is a karaoke series with a final kind of competition and towards Annie and Mary Day. And so we're trying to kind of figure out how we want to do it on Annie and Mary Day. We thought we might do like kind of a wrap up, because Annie and Mary Day gets over at like 4 or 5, like gets over really early. It's just like wrap up, clean up. And it's like,
We're
wow,
tired.
it's over.
It's a long day.
Yeah, so we were like, that night we could do the karaoke night as a kind of a wrap up, or they were talking about maybe doing a kids skate or something. So we haven't quite figured the logistics out, but essentially you can qualify for the grand championship by either participating in, I believe it's 2 of the 4 contests, or you have to buy into it basically. So it's just kind of an entry point for us to kind of test out Crash Hall and kind of see how things work and how we can lay things out for music events. And so we thought this is a pretty cheap event to put on, to be able to kind of run a music event and see how the lights work and the sound and how we can do food and drinks and things and transition the floor a bit so it's not just like a big hall, but it becomes a little bit more intimate with tables and food service and different things. So we learned a few things that we'll do a little differently for the next one. I believe it's next Thursday.
21st.
Yeah, Darcy is one of our top performers,
Ooh.
and it's so fun. And it's really fun. Yeah. Yeah, she does great. You're
Oh.
lucky you were up there.
Not top.
Yeah. So, and it's a 21 and over event because we did sell beer and wine. We did beer, wine, mocktails, sodas, and then Haywans did the food and they did great. They sold out halfway through the event, which
Perfect.
was wonderful because we were, that was one of, for us, it was like, it's on them to try and market themselves and sell and take on that, stress of like, are we going to sell everything or what are we going to have to take back? So, for us, it was just the cost of the beer basically. And I think we ran it with 2 staff members. But Haywan sold out, so they were thrilled and they'll be doing it again.
Great.
So yeah, so I think the event will continue to grow, and the singers who came, there's a kind of a professional karaoke group that goes around, and they
There
go to
is.
all these events, and they're really good. So you can go to a karaoke night, and you can really see some really good performances, and so it's pretty fun. Um,
Costumes and everything sometimes.
Oh yeah, and well,
Yeah.
and
Funny.
now with Crash Hall, we have the stage. So instead of just being like on and the karaoke night, the Logger is really popular, but it's a kind of a different venue. It's a little bit more grassroots. You're not on stage, you're kind of in the crowd, and it's really fun as well. This is a little different because you're up on stage and you're like the star performer at that point. So it's a little bit different venue, but we got really good feedback from people, and people said they were going to be back. And so yeah, so it was fun. It's just like I said, it's a way for us to kind of at a cheap price point start testing the waters
Mhm.
for future events. So I think Crash eventually will have a lot of capacity as a music venue. The sound was really good in there, and we've done a lot of work to make that happen. Justin was a huge part of all of it. He helped with the sound and you know just helping everything get set up and the screen. Yeah, so we now can do movie nights, we can do music, we have skating parties. Our next event, we're getting ready to schedule a barn dance.
And a teen dance.
Oh yeah, I
The
think
night after karaoke.
yeah, there's
Those
next
are huge.
Friday. Yeah, so that'll be our second teen dance. So that'll be fun. But just looking at different ways, and that was kind of the whole intent of a lot of these improvements that we've put into Prash is being able to multitask the space. So putting in the commercial kitchen, we have a big order coming in to launch our novelty store. So that's a big thing. Saturday night we had 150 skaters, and we did great in concessions, but they want to buy more. So we have to have all those little stuffies and mochis and things that all the kids want. So in the novelty store we'll be finally launching that. We have all of our racking up and just trying to kind of move into all of that. So there's a lot that's
That's a lot of
that's
work.
happening.
You guys have done
Yeah,
a really good job.
yeah, we're getting good feedback, really good numbers. The skate program's doing great.
Great.
We're seeing huge numbers. So, we used to do maybe a couple $100s a night. We're doing, $1,200 to $1,500 a night.
That's
So just off little kids skating, a $5 entry, that's pretty good. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that's really helping to carry through, support staff and, lessen the burden on the general fund. So
My 30
Great.
something daughter brought her family out a couple weeks ago and she says, "It is not what it used to be, Mom." She said, "It's so much cooler than when we were kids."
yeah, it's
Yeah.
really fun. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
we
was
have a
it
lot
was
more
exciting
video
to hear.
games and
Yeah.
yeah, just to come in and see the light show. I mean, it makes me kind of like a little queasy after a while, but the kids love it. Now they all are getting like light up wheels on their skates, so
Yeah.
we're going to start, selling those. Oh, God, it's like a big giant skate disco. So
Awesome.
yeah, yeah, it's really fun. So yeah, so we'll be having a barn dance, we have the teen dance, and then we're just starting to kind of prep to launch right into summer. One of the big things that we'll be starting is some fundraising for the bike park. So looking at some of those events, we might do one of the karaoke nights as a fundraiser for the bike park so that we can just kind of reach that increased demographic. RCMBA, I think they have like 800 members or people at least on their listserv. So if we, connecting to that, that allows us also to send them all out like, hey, come to karaoke night. It's a fundraiser. So we can just reach into different, different user groups as well. So yeah. So
Are the will the burrito place come back again for the next one?
yeah, they
Oh,
said that
good.
they're in for the next one as well.
Right on.
Yeah, they, like I said, they did really well. Actually sold everything out.
That's
So,
great.
and they sold out
And
fast.
their food's so good.
It was really good.
It's nice to have like a Mexican night in
Yeah.
Blue Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great. They both live in Blue Lake, and so they're really vested. And
Yep.
so yeah, so it's really positive.
So the pizza people are going to sell their business?
Yeah, so the kids are really, they started the pizza company, and they all have full-time jobs. And I
Hobbies.
honestly don't think they thought they'd be as successful as they've been, as busy. And I think what they're realizing is that it's really hard to work a full-time job and then work Friday night and Saturday night too,
Every
especially
Friday, Saturday.
yeah, especially when you want to go out with your friends and it's like summertime's coming up and maybe you want to go camping and you're like, oh, I gotta make pizza. So there had, kind of the thought was they were either going to have to take it to the next level themselves, or you get a business started and then you sell it, which is also great. So they've got a very well established customer base. Their numbers are good. They're doing really well, but they're almost doing so well. Like I said, it's kind of one of those things you either commit to it full time and take it to the next level, or you got to, hand it off to someone and cash out maybe some profits and, go from there. And I think there's a lot of ways where it could expand. We had talked about even having a little delivery system, especially in the summer. I mean, you could have a kid with a kid cart on the back who's just pedal delivering, pizzas. If they're not old enough to drive, they could at least, ride their bike and deliver pizzas. People would pay for that. The take and bake pizzas, I think, could be really popular. So, they could expand their product line and stuff as well. So yeah, so I'm not really sure they kind of put that out, to the general public if anyone was interested. And I haven't really talked to Morgan and Clarissa lately to kind of see what kind of feedback they've gotten, but I know there has been some interest from different individuals about it. So yeah, it's great. It's nice having the different option. I know we probably buy one pizza a week from them. It helps me out.
It's really convenient.
Yeah.
Does the public have any comments at this time on spring programming?
Just I really, it's my granddaughter has some of those wagon skates, and we had a birthday party at the park, and then I get to watch her. I've got a video of her floating around. Yeah,
It's pretty cool with all the other lights, isn't it?
yeah, there is.
Fun.
It's they're gonna, speaking of spring, is there going to be a spring camp at Prash for is there a week off at Easter for Easter?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Is it at Easter? Is it high school?
Yeah, it's April for Arcata schools.
Oh.
Yeah.
Match it up anymore.
I don't know. I can't keep track of how
Okay.
Easter happens. So
It's the end of
Easter's the
March,
31st of March, so
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
early
this
early
year.
this year. Yeah.
but the break is going to be in April, probably.
The first week of
Yeah,
April.
I think the
Yeah, it's
Yes.
usually mid-April. Yeah.
I don't know, but Austin, I could
Okay.
ask Austin about that.
they did it for the winter break.
They did. Yep, I know.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it
think
keeps you busy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. It's fun.
that brings us up to item 6. The City
Yeah,
of Blue
so
Lake
this-
project updates and discussion.
Yeah, so this is I usually just kind of keep the projects on here so I can kind of keep you guys informed of where we're at on different projects and then give you an opportunity. We do have 2 new projects on the list. So the first project we have is the Town Square construction project. So that project already has gone out to bid and we have a contractor. We'll be starting construction in the spring. It kind of depends on how this weather goes. They are in the process right now of submitting applications to PG&E for our power drop and lighting needs, and starting to kind of queue up the schedule for the start of construction. So um, I don't have a lot of faith in the weather right now. I'm not really sure how long our rainy season's going to be. It's
Not
supposed to.
moving my
I
sandbags.
know. So, the project is a lot of concrete work. So, we're going to see where we land. One of the issues that we did have originally was that the original bathroom that we spec'd out was very expensive. It was like $100,000. Um, we did talk to our funding agency. What we're proposing to do instead of that Portland Loo is because everything increased in price from the time we submitted our grant to now. The cost of construction's gone up 30%. Um, so what we are proposing right now is to plumb all the utilities, pour the pad for a future bathroom installation. But what we'd like to do is build kind of a cute shelter, kind of like a bus shelter style. And then we've talked with B&B about purchasing an ADA compliant porta potty and then having it wrapped in, and that's where we could do a fun like art project or something. But you can do a vinyl wrap on them so they become a little bit prettier than just, a porta potty. But then we would have those clean. That would be on a contract to be clean. We don't have to maintain it. They're very affordable. It's like $3,000 versus $100,000.
You don't have this paper towel problem.
We don't have the paper towel problem. And it just
Yeah.
allows us
Yeah.
time to look for additional resources. There's some funding under USDA that we can write for this facility. So we'll be doing that as well. But in the meantime, it allows us to meet our grant objectives and, takes a little bit of burden off the city for maintenance. And it's not such a permanent installation that, we can't work towards something better in the future.
And the reason you have to have a bathroom there with this project is because if you have farmers markets or art fairs
Yeah.
and stuff like that, the public has to be able to
There
go
has to be a
somewhere,
public bathroom.
wash
Yeah.
their hands. Okay, got it.
Yep.
You invite them then.
Yeah.
Will
So
there be a permanent washing station?
yeah. So
Or,
yeah.
other-
So we'll also have the washing station. We'll develop some type of hand washing station as part of it
Mhm.
as well.
B&B has them too.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably purchase it. That way we can wrap it, and unless B&B is okay with us wrapping one of theirs, which they might be fine with that too. But like I said, it's we have such a small staff, anytime something happens, it's like we've dealt with this all weekend. We had like the poltergeist flushing taking place in this bathroom. It just it flushed and then
crazy.
stopped and then it just, and so it's a call out for Public Works to come out and try and fix it. And then it's dirty and gross. And, it's a lot. And, I feel really bad because, Public
Probably
Works.
better off with the B&B
Exactly.
in the
And
long
we've had
run.
pretty good luck with our B&Bs. We have one down at the horse arena.
It's the cleanest
It's-
B&B I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
So it works out pretty well. So that's kind of what we're thinking right now. Like I said, that allows us to meet our grant objectives. And it'll allow us to have a future installation as well. So
If need be, huh?
I'm just gonna text my son.
What's the other construction going on at that site?
Oh yeah. So we will be putting in a splash fountain for the kids. There will be new lighting that goes around, kind of streetscape lighting. It kind of looks like kind of the old-fashioned overhang lighting. Some new landscaping, benches, the electrical drop. That way we can have music or
Christmas tree.
Christmas tree with lights. And there'll actually be a box that the Christmas tree can be inset into. So, because right now we have to like anchor it down with all these things. So they have a design for a box that the tree will then sit into and anchor down, and then we'll have the plugs in there so we can have the Christmas tree lights.
Cool.
And then there's also a kind of a trellis shade structure that will go on the south side to kind of buffer between the two properties that can be planted. You could put like a lattice back on it, but in the future, if anything is developed there that would be nice to connect to, it's not such a barrier, but it'll allow
It's
us
a
to kind
visual
of
barrier.
to visually block it for a while. But yeah, it should be really nice. And there's a lot of concrete work going in. Um, one of the things that, it's a lot for us just to even maintain that, once we get deep into summer, the watering is pretty crazy, and then mowing, and then it never seeds really well. Like when we did hydro seed it, but I think we got a really bad mix or something because we had a lot of weeds that came in with it.
Mm.
So it never seeded properly, and so having more hardscape, just we can just hose that off, but that'll allow the kids, because that was one of the deliverables that we had under the grant, was there had to be a feature that the kids chose in order to get funded, and so they chose a splash feature. And it does get hot here, and it gets hot on that town square, so we'll have, on really nice sunny days, the kids can have, a little fountain going and play in the water
And
and
go
stuff.
get an
So
ice cream cone.
yeah,
And
yeah.
is that water recirculating or
Yeah, there's a process that it goes through. It'll go through like a recirculation process and then connect out to our wastewater system. So
got it?
yeah, and it's not going to be massive, but it'll be enough for kids to run around and squeal and get wet and have fun. Like,
Cool.
The squeal, yeah.
yeah, they'll enjoy it. So yeah, that's the town square project. So the next one is the sports complex development concept. So we have a new architect for the Bottawat community project. His name is Garrett McSorley. He's a local architect. He actually has worked with Cash for a long time. Um, he's going to take over getting the project ready for submittal. He also has been working on a design with a nonprofit group that kind of specializes. They started out specializing in tennis for youth, and they're very, very successful. They're local, but they have a very large tennis club that is from, I think it's from like the Oregon border down to Fresno. And they have been working for a number of years. I actually worked with them about 5 years ago when they were looking at a property in Glendale, looking at recreation. And, I've always, one of my main focuses has always been recreation, turf fields, more facilities for the youth, because we get rained out so much around here that our kids, as they get older, they become less competitive as they move up through the sports system, because down south and
They
stuff,
don't
you
have
have all
this
these
one.
indoor facilities. Kids are training year round. Our kids are like, it's like this. It's like all their fields are underwater. They can't practice. Everyone's trying to find a gym or a garage to take batting practice in. It's cold. They're getting sports injuries. And so, thinking about having some indoor facilities that could be cross purpose for, all user groups is something that I've really been looking out for, and trying to kind of promote at different levels. My son plays a lot of travel baseball. His travel baseball team has been looking for this for years. Like every sports team we've ever worked with has been looking for a facility like this. So they've been working on this concept. They need like 5 acres of land. They have the drawings. They've gone through 4 properties that they almost had to the finish line with permits and ready to break ground. And every time something happens, they're
That's
like,
expensive.
it's just been crazy. So Garrett was like, "Hey, Mandy, as part of what Blake's looking at, would you guys be interested in this type of project?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So he brought me a plan that they have, and I can show this guys too. This is a plan that they had looked at for another property that, and this is just kind of a concept, but this is a 5 acre
Sure.
parcel.
Too bad they couldn't buy the old factory, carbon factory.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That person saying.
So as we've been looking at development on the Blake Power site, it's the Blake Power site for when we've looked at the RV park and campground and thinking about, future ideas and concepts, the idea of building in a recreation facility to that development has been something that's been discussed. There's also the neighboring property where the toilet storage is almost exactly 5 acres. And Tavis has been super supportive of the bike park. He's super supportive of the development of an RV park and campground. In fact, he wanted to do it on his property. And he and his family are interested in purchasing the corporation yard for development. So he's really been vested in he and his family, and so I floated this project by him to see if this would be something that maybe he would be interested in entertaining a concept like this. And he really liked it. And so some conversations are starting. I don't know where this will end up, but I think it's a highly fundable project. And I think it's a really palatable project for Blue Lake, and it's something that I think would be really successful. And I think there's plenty of property that could support this down in the Powers Creek district if this were to come to
Yeah.
fruition. So there's not a pool, but there is a plan for the addition of a pool. And I think that also adding a turf outdoor baseball field would be a smart move as well.
But are any of these covered?
Yeah. So the facility with the green is actually a covered facility.
This whole piece right here.
So that's an indoor facility, training facility. So it has tennis courts, futsal, a baseball infield. It has like a little juice bar, a workout room.
So it's just a workout.
These are locker rooms too.
It's both. So they're all made so you could multitask them. So that is, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Pickleball.
It might be a dedicated pickleball.
She's right.
Yeah, and then these would be the outdoor courts. So, like I said, it's just a concept, but it's a concept that's got a lot behind it. The nice thing about this group is they are a nonprofit already. They've been established for quite a while. They have a proven track record, and they have some funding behind them. And so, when you start looking at grants and, financing and things, having the management capacity and the administration capacity is really critical. And that's usually where like a new project really struggles, because you are usually trying to create a board, create, that capacity. This comes with it. So that's a little bit more sellable on
It's
the
a
market.
pretty palatable idea, it would seem like, to present to people
Yeah, I
around
think,
here.
it's a huge need. I think honestly it would be undersized immediately because
Probably.
I know every single travel baseball team would be scrambling to schedule time on that practice
So would
field.
they, who would manage it if it was
Yeah,
to
so
fruition?
they have
Part of that.
yeah, so I
Mhm.
think they're called the Hit Sports Club.
Yes.
And so they have, like I said, it's a nonprofit. They have to build in, the profitability side of it. So they have a whole business plan. They've been running clinics and private programs for a long time. So, and the people who are part of this, they have a pretty good group that have a lot of different layers of experience and expertise, which is really nice. Um, but like I said, this is just something that, is starting to float around a little bit. See if there's any, we're just broaching it to see if there's any interest. Um, but I think it's a really exciting project. And I think if you had, an RV park and campground that had this next door, you now have an art, oh, Justin.
Oh, no.
I don't know. I don't know because it's Garrett's All right. Okay, thanks. Um, you can just see it now. Um, but something like this,
This
you
would bring
know,
a lot of people into Blue Lake.
yeah,
And it wouldn't be like in and out a lot of traffic. They'd
no,
park and they'd be there for a long
right,
time.
right. You could
Presumably,
do training
family type.
programs, camps,
Yeah.
training facilities, tournaments. You know, if you had an RV park and campground and you were running a big pickleball tournament, you know, people would come to that campground and stay for a weekend and play in that tournament. It gives you a lot of flexibility, and then having an indoor space allows you to do that year round, which,
This might be enough right here to uh, bring a tax base in,
oh,
and then without having to do the other deal
hmm
that's so controversial.
Well, would the Ottawa be nearby this, right?
yeah, just down the street from
Just
it.
down the street.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
those retail spaces underneath
hmm
could benefit on this too.
I know as a parent, like I take my son once a week. He has travel ball practice, and then he practices with a private trainer. And I just sit there. Like if there was a place like this where I could
Mhm.
drop him off and I could go have a coffee or lunch or go for a walk. I mean, I literally just like sit in my vehicle, you know, half time because it's like raining out, you
Right.
know. Yeah, I could imagine that, you know, this would be highly, or you get a little gym membership, and while your kid's training,
Yeah.
you're like, you know, in exercising, riding a bike, doing a Pilates class, or, you know,
Take a walk around
take a walk.
the loop.
Is
hmm
there a classroom space in there for some
Yeah,
of
I
those sort of group
believe they
activities?
have some space set aside where you
Oh,
could
a spin,
do,
yoga,
yeah,
cardio, it's over there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And what this will do too is exposing people to Blue Lake, so there could be some potential businesses.
yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of what I always
Yeah,
look at it.
yeah, yeah. I think, it's a exciting concept. Thanks. Um, I know I'm excited. I think Blue Lake, if we had a turf baseball field out here too, you know, I mean, we just played a tournament at Bear River last week. Um, and it was so extremely cold and windy but you know, everyone's there. There's, you know, 6 teams playing on, you
Hmm.
know, the beginning of March trying to play a baseball game, you know, and everything had to be rescheduled because of the rain, but they have a turf field and it's the only one around. And so everyone, when you look at their turf schedule up at Bear River, they're actually building a second one. It's booked solid. You know, every travel team, every little league team, everyone wants on that field because all of the other fields are underwater.
Do
And
all
they
of these
pay to
activities,
use
Oh
those
yeah.
fields?
We pay a lot.
I mean, that the soccer at the Hiller Park up at
Yeah.
McKinleyville, that parking lot is a
Oh yeah.
zoo.
It's
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 crazy.
terrible.
parking goes up and down
Yeah.
the street.
Yeah. So I
And
wanted to
people are
just,
going all the way to Fortuna for wrestling matches, and I mean, you could do so much here.
yeah. And I think,
This
you
is a
know, this
this
is
is
like
a great
sets
idea.
Blue
And this is
Lake
central
as,
for a lot of things that go
Yeah.
on. Coming over 299
oh
and
yeah.
then down south and
And at this point, if you're in kids sports or youth sports, you travel. You're used to traveling. We go to CR every Sunday. You know, we play ball at Bear River. Canyon's playing with kids who are coming down from Crescent City and are driving to CR for a 2-hour baseball practice. We
Mm.
have kids coming from Southern Humboldt and Garberville coming up, you know, to practice and play. Like we travel to Medford, you know, every month for tournaments. You know, it's just nothing to do that anymore. And Blue Lake is not that far, you know, and that's been one of our kind of ad monikers is it's closer than you think. You know, we're only like 6 miles from Arcata and
yeah.
it's sunny out here, or, you know, we have this great facility. So um it's
This
pretty low impact and
this plan though doesn't feel like it's got enough parking for that type of those type of events you're talking
Mhm.
about where you bring that many people. Mom and dad have separated for the day because one's got to go to soccer and then they meet
Mhm.
up here. Now you have 2 cars per family here. It
I think you
it
have to take
doesn't.
it into context
Yeah,
though
but I mean
of
it,
the
it
other
would need
development.
to have some
Mhm.
more development in
Yeah.
that there. I
And I actually
feel.
have part of the master plan that we're working on with Storyland, the update is looking at parking.
Mhm.
One of the things that we don't want to do though is create these big, huge parking lots.
Correct.
You know, we'd
Mhm.
rather have
Correct.
the pocket parks, you know, where you might even have to park at Perigo Park and walk across the bridge right into the district. And guess what? You walk along the trail and you're like right there. So we're trying to create different areas of parking that don't require these huge footprints,
Makes
because then
sense.
we lose a lot of development potential, and it's also a lot of impervious surface that,
It's ugly.
really has that huge impact. And so, and it doesn't create kind of that campusy districty
Yeah.
feel either.
No, I
So
get that.
I like that
so
idea.
yeah, so that's one of the things that we're definitely, something, this is designed for a whole different site.
Sure.
And not that site and not Blue Lake, but I just wanted you guys to kind of see some of the thought that's
Mhm.
out there that I think Blue Lake really should advocate for and to be like, hey,
Yeah,
we want this.
I
This would be
agree.
So
amazing.
yeah,
It
yeah,
really would. And it
yeah,
would draw so many people.
It would.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
think it'd be a lot more palatable to the naysayers than, and it might be in addition too,
Mhm.
but it seems like positive, family,
Mhm.
healthy,
Mhm.
indoor, outdoor. What's there not to like?
It's kind of hard to argue against recreation.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll get it, but
Especially year round.
but yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And in the Ottawa, how many family units are in that
There are
set?
40, I believe there's 43 units, and that's studio to 3 bedrooms. And I can't remember what
Yes.
the mix
So
ratio
at
is,
least
but
half of those
mhm,
units could potentially have children in them and
absolutely.
youth, young
Hmm.
people. This would
Yeah.
give them something to do too.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to get the doors open for Prash as much as we can for kids and stuff, but you still,
Even
you know,
schools can use these facilities too. When
oh,
they've got double
absolutely.
booking or something.
Yeah, MPA rents our basketball courts and they rent our tennis courts already. So, and our tennis courts are not good. I mean, they need a lot of work. But there's just such a huge need for facilities.
Graduations and things,
Oh
and
yeah,
not
yeah.
sports related. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of like Canyon's his trainer he works with, he's looking for space. He's like, I need a space so I can train these kids year round. He's like, do you know of anyone who has like I don't know, a storage unit, a metal barn, a shed, like anything? 'Cause there's just no space around for these types of
Wow.
activities. And it's really difficult. So we'll get a call and be like, hey, you know what? It's not supposed to rain on Sunday from like 1 to 3:30. Can you guys meet me at Redwood Fields and we'll like jump, it's like, yeah, we'll rearrange our
Oh,
schedule because there's
jeez.
a break in the weather.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you want to keep moving up and be competitive, this is, the kids have to be training, and there's just a lack of facilities. So,
Well,
Well,
this
and
is
these are
exciting.
sports families. They can generate some money
yeah,
to make this happen.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
would
mean,
be
if it's a
great.
good enough cafe too,
Hmm.
you get people just going to
Oh,
that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
there's
Health Sport was like
endless.
that at their juice bar. People used to come just to have,
Juice bar.
because it was
Coming
kind of
back,
the first of its
There you
kind
go.
there. So,
Yeah.
Arcata.
No, it has really great potential.
yeah.
You?
And maybe not as heavy of a
Maybe go
financial
in there and
impact on
then
the city.
move
Yeah.
Blue Lake
Yeah.
Yeah,
It could just be a
or both.
huge benefit.
or
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Think big.
And I think it's highly fundable too. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different ways that you can
Oh,
package
yeah.
this.
For
It would
sure.
need some private financing for sure. But I think, there's grant programs and stuff out there, parks programming and stuff that could help support this.
Maybe get the Rotary clubs to do fundraising
Oh
on.
yeah. Yeah.
Maybe Humboldt Area Foundation can
Hmm.
find a grant.
Yeah.
Especially with a nonprofit, it
Well, the one
opens
that,
them up to so much.
yeah, and one of the things that I like about this concept is I think it's replicable. So I think how
Build one
amazing it would
here.
be to have one in every community,
Yeah.
and then, that's one of the big things around here is no one really has the facilities to run like really good tournaments. But what if we each had one of these facilities and we could, it's like, hey, the 12U's are playing in Blue Lake, the 13s are in Eureka, the 14s are, you run a big tournament, but we all get a piece of
And
it.
it would drive tourism here instead of
Absolutely.
exporting
You
all
stay
these
in the
athletic families
motels,
out
you
of the
stay in
area every
Airbnbs.
weekend to
Airbnbs,
go.
But the
Medford is a
weather's
huge,
nice in the summer
yeah.
there. It's not like being in
Yeah.
Reading.
And Medford is a
Yeah,
really good case study. They invested, I think their complex was about $32 million, and it has paid off incredibly through sales tax revenues. And, when you go to a tournament, and their facility is beautiful. I mean, there's multiple baseball fields, football fields, soccer field. It's all turf. So we play from March to November.
Are they doing something like this in Fortuna?
Bear River is putting in another.
I thought
Bear
the
River has a
city
turf
had
field.
something going too.
Yeah, I
I
know.
feel like I've seen
That's
plans.
covered,
I
you're thinking?
I don't know. I don't think it's covered, but I think they were expanding athletic.
Yeah.
I
Is
feel like
Medford's covered?
No, theirs is outdoors.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only drawback. But we still play. They just played a tournament last week
But in the
and it was just
wintertime,
like freezing
100
cold and raining.
degrees. Yeah.
But you can play on turf fields.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
This
do
is
these
exciting.
places, uh, do the covered ones, do they get hot?
they have their own air systems. in
Uh-huh.
them. Yeah.
and the wind comes up in the afternoons off the river bar.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be mornings and early afternoons when it's hot here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring this to
Yeah,
your guys' attention that
it's
it is a
great.
concept floating out there. It's something that, I think is great for Blake to promote attracting that here.
Yeah.
And, whether this becomes something that, takes place on a private property or the city embraces it at some point, or I think it's a little bit more real with the amount of work that this group has done. And it maybe at the next meeting, I could see if they would want to even come in and do a presentation to you guys, and
Yeah, they're
you can
nice.
meet
Oh,
them.
definitely.
And yeah, they're great. And in fact, one of Peter and his wife, I think she grew up on Liscombe Hill. She went to Blake School. I think they might live on Chesham, or they might still live on Liscombe Hill. But she's a tennis coach at Arcata High, and they're very vested in the community, and really vested in youth, which is really nice.
Where were you looking on Glendale?
One of the industrial sites, they were looking at a property, but I think it had some contamination issues.
Probably the
So
one where that cannabis permit was
yeah,
at.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah. So, but then they were looking at a property, a couple other properties that, have all just kind of
So
had
they need
difficulty.
5 acres.
It's hard to find a 5 acre parcel that can, everything's going to have a problem. It's either going to be an old industrial site, or it's going to have wetlands, or it's not going to have utilities, or, it's going to have parking, ingress, egress issues, so it's not as easy to find sites that actually make sense. Luckily in the district, we do actually have a couple sites that make sense.
Yeah.
So we could,
I think Blue Lake would be a good
This
fit
is
for
a
it.
cool opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel this is something to definitely look
I do
towards.
too.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna collect these just because
They're not ours.
they're not well, I mean they gave us I just don't wanna
Is there any public
I
comment?
put it on Facebook already.
Yeah.
Jackie, did you have any comments? Jackie, did you have anything to add here?
No, I'm curious, is the Calhoun plant that Darcy was talking about, is that part of the Ottawa?
It's not. Nope. And so we're actually working with Calgon to get that plant dismantled, and then set up for some type of future reinvestment. But that's a great site.
Yeah,
That's like
that would work nice for that.
that's
5 acres.
I know it's a little bit small, but it
Yeah.
the
It's not 5 acres.
some of the work that we're doing with Storyland is also looking at those parcels and how you can create secondary egress and ingress, and connectivity. So there could be an opportunity to connect that property through another roadway into
Gotcha.
this to the next door property and stuff. So we're trying to take more of a like holistic approach to it, and not just like kind of pigeonhole things as is, but like, hey, we might have an opportunity as these sites start to kind of transition out of their current uses and starting to look at other uses that might connect better. The connectivity also becomes the pathways and the roads and things as well. So
Were you thinking about the power plant?
Hmm?
The power plant for this?
I think that's a great option, or possibly the neighboring property if they were interested. It
The B&B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the easiest one. Then the city just provides, like, hey, we support you, but not having to be a developer and stuff. It'd be great if a private developer wanted to do it. So, but we'll see. Those conversations though are taking place. I don't know where those will end up though.
Well, it's exciting if it does.
Yeah, I think just keeping an open mind to ideas, and that was why we wrote the zone the way we did, because we wanted, economics to be more of a driving force, and investment being more of a driving force rather than overthinking it and dictating so
Forcing.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So good conversations are starting to take place. The next project is the Container Village development concept. I just wanted to bring this to your attention as well as we start to move through some conversations with the parties interested in purchasing the courtyard. So one of the concepts, I don't know if you guys have seen kind of container development and turn the computer on. But there's a lot of opportunity to use shipping containers.
Who bought that property?
No one's bought it yet, but the Eisners are interested in purchasing, and they are the owners of B&B and Humboldt Sanitation. And so some of the ideas that they've been talking about were, what does the city kind of think about using shipping containers for different development concepts, which I actually had like this whole plan for a shipping container village. It's becoming very popular.
This is residential or
Yeah, this
commercial?
would be commercial.
Commercial.
This is residential. I'm gonna try to find it.
There's one on 101 that's set up.
Yeah, that one's set up as kind of a residential.
Yeah.
Where on the 101?
At the kind of near Franz Bakery, if you pull off there,
Oh, okay.
and then left into their parking lot, there's one down there as kind of a demo. Get out, look at it.
Oh, is that the
You
one that
see
says
it
it's
if
for
you drive
sale?
on-
By the trailer sales.
It's blue. It's blue now.
Yeah, but this is kind of a fun one
Mm.
that.
Well, you can build modular hotels now too.
They're
I've
doing
seen-
some really fun stuff with these. And
Someone's put one out in Fieldbrook on their property.
oh yeah,
Yeah, with a little wood stove in it. And
yeah. I mean, you can
from the
stack,
outside.
What was the thought that they wanted to do with it? You said retail?
Retail,
kinda like a
commercial,
tiny one.
and possibly
only
some
it's
even
this
some
big.
residential.
Super
Um,
tiny.
So here's like an idea. This has some residential. And they kind of stack those up.
Huh.
I was trying to see what better.
Pretty creative people, huh?
Yeah. So I thought, the idea of something like this could be really fun down there because it's kind of a blend of like new and, old industrial.
They're going to want to keep those sheets of metal on the roof.
But you can do indoor outdoor space.
Yeah.
They're really easy to change up. You just
Oh, you can use the roof?
you can use the
Mhm.
roof because they're so heavy duty. So a lot of people do multiple stories.
On the barges, they stack them full on top of each
Yeah.
other.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for 5 and 6 high.
Big containers.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
they're solid.
I was excited. So I was like, the idea of doing something that's a little bit more modern and, isn't just kind of your cookie cutter, run of the mill type of
Be
development.
very creative. It'd be
Would
cute
be-
down there.
Wouldn't it be cute?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it would allow them to get started pretty quick too.
Yeah.
This is something that, you can do. People do these where they just have their container, but then you open them up and you have an instant retail. So you could do that with a bike shop.
Yeah, that's cool.
Totally.
Which is
Tackle
that's
shop.
a pretty cheap entry point.
Well, we're going to need some kind of gear shop if we get this sports complex.
There's an ice cream shop they've done.
So really good ideas.
It's your oyster with them, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So, I don't know where this will all go. This is, they had broached this idea and just wanted to know like what our thought was or if we were adverse to it or thought, I was like, oh, I love
Man,
the idea of it.
Cute. It just fits so well
And it
down
would
there.
fit really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not
So
asking for the city to fund them or
no,
anything.
no. So they would be their intent would be to purchase the property. We've had the appraisal. We have authorization from the city council to develop an exclusive negotiating agreement with them and bring it back to council for approval. That would allow us to basically enter into a contract to hold the property while they do their due diligence, and then they would bring a project back to the council, and there would be then a purchase agreement. The council would want to be really careful, just about not just selling the property and then going like, oh, wait. Instead of doing this really cool project that they said, they're just doing shipping container storage,
Yeah.
and we didn't get the project we want. So, you know, owning the property is really good for the city because it allows us to be a partner in development and actually kind of dictate a little bit more what happens. So the city could say, yeah, no, or we'll do the final sale upon issuance of, say, an occupancy permit or
Yeah.
something. So that way
Contingent on.
we get
Yeah.
the type of
And
project
it's
that we
like
all need.
they can't surprise you.
Yeah, yeah.
They can't
So,
change their mind when
right.
they get the cost update them.
I mean, ideas can change and economics change and stuff, but I mean, someone's got to get something going down there. And the nice thing is we get the site cleaned up too. There would be a cash infusion for the city. The site gets cleaned up. We start some commerce. We get some new stuff going on. And they're a very vested family in the community, which is great. And they're very successful. And
Maybe they'll buy the pizza company.
yeah. And they believe in Blue Lake, which is also really nice to have. It's nice to have,
Yeah,
when you have to
absolutely.
go up against those people saying Blue Lake's not viable, Blue Lake, is never going to be successful, to have people who are already there that are successful wanting to invest more because they see the potential. It's pretty
Win-win.
it's refreshing.
It
So,
is. Yeah.
yeah, so that is that project.
Where's the courtyard going?
So I would propose to move the courtyard over to the biomass plant property. Eventually, the city will have that back, and that could happen sooner than later. But there's already kind of a maintenance building there that we've asked to not, be removed, and we would move everything in there because at some point, anything that goes in there is going to need some type of kind of corporation yard. If you had an RV park and campground, you're going to need storage or need lawnmowers and different things. So kind of, it's a good place to kind of hide it and buffer it. And then, it doesn't really impact the usability of the rest of the site. So, and we need to downsize and kind of clean up. We've got historical loading at the corporation yard that, oh yeah. At one point we had a helicopter at one point.
What?
We used to get all of this surplus stuff.
No,
We have
it was
decontamination suits, and
A
it
helicopter.
was a city worker, not a manager, not a.
well,
it was-
our police law enforcement too.
Oh, okay.
Like our chief of police was
Music Gunderson. Is that
the city workers. They just accumulated all the rest of the stuff.
That's funny.
But working with this
Anyway.
group, they own Humboldt Sanitation, so they're like, cleanup's not a problem.
Yeah.
Like, good, you have access to dumpsters. So that's that project. Bike park development is just ongoing. Just waiting for the weather to change. We will be launching some fundraisers to start raising some funds to keep that project moving forward. But that will, I anticipate as soon as things dry out, there will be people down there moving more dirt. So that's pretty
Lovely.
exciting. The Bottawat Community Project, I let you guys know, we have a new architect, Garrett McSorley. He is a local to Humboldt County.
What's his last name? I'm sorry.
McSorley,
How do you spell it? Are you right down?
McSorley.
Is Cash retiring?
I think Garrett's being brought on to kind of move the project to the next stage of the design work. I know Cash is really busy and has lots of projects, so
But they worked or they have worked together.
yeah, they actually used to. I think Garrett was worked for under Cash's business for a long time. I believe he might have done the Plaza Point building. But yeah, uh,
really nice to work with. Actually, his son and my son play baseball together and stuff. So we talk a lot at baseball camp, like, hey, another thing. So that project is moving forward, and we should have some updates here soon. They're still moving through the CEQA process and getting that ready to take to the Planning Commission. The north side of Taylorway Master Plan and Parcel Subdivision, we have conversations going with Storyland to do that kind of pull together master plan and then a recommendation on subdivision of those parcels. So a lot of the work that they're doing is looking at what concepts and projects we have currently, laying those out on the parcels, and then seeing kind of what the remainders look like, and then how those connect together, and then what kind of parcel configuration makes sense. So if we're looking at, the need for a bike shop or different things, what size parcel configuration makes the most sense, because we need to subdivide those parcels up. So
You could
that is
stick a
underway.
community garden in one of the little odd
Yeah, well,
slots.
we have a whole property across the
Yeah.
creek too that, eventually can all be cleaned up and put a
Yeah.
bridge across, and you have a really huge
Hmm.
actual green space over there. So there's a lot of park space available for that can be integrated. And that's one of the things they're also looking at, is proposing some ideas. So it's nice working with them, because they are really good at bringing some imagery and, looking at ways to connect all those spaces. We were like, oh my gosh, that right there. Um, so that'll be good. That'll probably wrap up at the end of this month. And then SHN's surveyors will move forward the minor subdivision. So
Great.
that'll be brought back to you guys and to council to move forward or make modifications, and then that'll go forward. So that'll be a big one.
Great.
Powers Creek Restoration Project. So this project is in the stage right now. We are asking for an amendment to the project from our funding agencies. The funding has kind of a hard deadline for to basically to spend out, and we're based upon some of the last 2 years of flooding. We want to amend the project to basically encompass some of the project impacts that we think are critical to address that we didn't have in the original project scope.
Probably a good idea after this winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just
Take a
seeing some
second look.
things that are like, yeah, some extra work needs to be done here. We need to connect some space, take out some more stuff. So we're asking for an amendment to the project to take less of the burden off of the construction and put more of it into the design, planning, and permitting stage, with the idea that we could with this funding, we could get to hopefully vegetation removal, invasive species removal, and possibly some sediment removal. And then we would queue it up for the next funding application to go to a larger construction. I think it's going to make for a much better project. And I think it would be a little bit of a kind of a dereliction of duty if we were to move forward with what we have, knowing that we're seeing these
Issues we had.
hydrologic changes.
Oh, you'd
So-
hear about it.
Oh yeah. It just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that's where we're in that process right now, but there's a lot of good work taking place. We had a project meeting with the funding agency. They seemed, pretty positive about the project amendment, and so we're just kind of working through that process right now.
One of the things that it sounds like there's an opportunity now to remove some of the gravel and stuff in the creeks.
Yeah.
Whereas for years it was like, don't you dare touch
Yeah.
that.
Don't touch the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's encouraging that these agencies are realizing that is
Yeah.
something that needs to be done.
Yeah. Well, and when you have such an impacted waterway, this is not a natural waterway. It doesn't function naturally. It's constrained, it's constricted, it's got all these barriers. So you have to go in and, do some in-stream, management, because it's just not, it doesn't have the capacity to do it on its own. We've taken that away with the type of development that we've surrounded it with. So you have to be able to come in and make those management,
That's good.
improvements.
That's encouraging to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah,
And you
there's
just
and
do
there's
it
a
at
lot of sediment loading that needs to come out. So
certain times of the year when it's dry.
yeah,
You just really
exactly.
they pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of,
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure you
nesting
have.
bird seasons and,
Yeah.
frog season and, so I mean, the good thing and the bad thing is that it does dry up for a pretty substantial amount of time. So once we get kind of past the nesting bird season is kind of our big one, then we can really get in and do some
But
work. So
what's interesting though is it's probably the water is not that far down.
no, it does. I mean, it goes subsurface. We know it's there, but yeah, I mean, probably a lot of that sediment loading has raised that creek bed up, and
Yep.
so that water table is getting deeper and deeper just from sediment loading. So yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see how it all comes together. Um, chamber report. Do you want to give a chamber report, Justin?
Sure, I can do that. Let's see. I'll go ahead and pass this around because I'll come up here in a minute. All right. So the Valentine's bingo. Um, we we didn't have a huge turnout, and we only ended up making like $3 after we donated to
Fair.
the chamber or to the what you call it, Grange. But we had a lot of fun. Um, we had Parker doing a lot of calling. Maddie did some calling. Um, some of the crowd wanted Parker back after you know the roundabout, which I'm handing across to you guys now. That's a proposed change. And we're also looking at repainting and um, so one of the Mad River Alliance is now the Bottlewatt watershed. They're changing their name, so we'll be correcting that. A few inactive things will be changed. Um, but we're looking at prices to update. Annie Mary Day will be July 14th. Looking at some shirts and some bands. And Adeline, we're going to reach out for Adeline to find vendors. Apparently, she's pretty good at that, so we're going to have her. And that was pretty much it for Chamber.
Thanks.
So if someone wants to be a vendor for Annie Mary Day, they contact Chamber.
Oh,
Adeline?
Adeline.
Adeline.
I believe Adeline will be the one in control of the vendors.
Okay.
You don't want to take that away from Adeline.
No.
Don't buzz her now.
Yeah. She gets it all planned out and she's maps it all out and
That's good.
yeah,
She's
does
done
a
it. She knows what she's
she does a
doing.
great job. And every year we've had more and more vendors, so it's good. So for part of my report, I think I've given you guys enough information, but I didn't have this as an item because I wasn't sure how far I was going to get into it, so I left it off. But the council had directed staff to start updating the community visioning and strategic plan. And you guys had looked at this prior, and there's a lot of really great information in it. And so what I wanted to do was take a crack at updating it and then start the process of identifying some of like what are kind of our next focus areas and drilling those down into kind of a strategic plan. So I went through the group that worked on this. They had picked out 4 themes originally to really focus on. They have a lot of ideas and a lot of things that, they'd like to see in Blue Lake and part of the vision, but they narrowed it down to 4 areas that they really felt that, the community could focus on and wanted to have the city kind of work towards. So I took those 4 areas and I basically kind of recreated their form and kind of updated the current status. I updated, and these are staff recommendations. These aren't council directives, but this is where staff is at on these projects, what we're recommending as next steps. Some you'll see that we have as recommendation just to remove, and it's kind of blacked out. And I'm sorry that it didn't copy well, but it is. Yeah, from
That's what my
1997.
question was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when
and
you,
it's
but
really, you know,
when
you
you
know,
showed us, yeah.
it is good. And a lot of the items that were identified in here are now coming to fruition. And so it's been a little bit of a cover, honestly, for myself. And I said this before that, the things that we're working on aren't just Mandy's ideas for
This
Blue
is a
Lake.
long-term
This has
plan.
been a
Yeah.
long time coming. And so just having this document to show that we have been on a path to get to this point. And a lot of the things that we're working on, even the RV park was identified in this document as something that should be focused on and and it really did focus on recreation as being our economic driver. So I have this updated, these are the updated themes. And so I wanted to provide that to you guys, but I also put in a blank, um, one, and there's only one, and I can make more, but I wanted you guys, when you had some time, maybe to go through the document and maybe highlight some of the things that you're seeing in here that you think would be good for us to continue to focus on, or maybe there's some ideas that are connected or things that we can start kind of updating this as well. And I'm going to be doing this with all the commissions so that we have everyone, because everyone has a part of this, whether it's public safety or Parks and Rec or economic development, whatever, arts and heritage. Everyone's part of this. So I'm going to use this as kind of a platform to get some more input, and then we can kind of probably have like a working session with council to kind of see where we're at. And maybe we'll have some more community meetings as well. So I'm just going to hand this out. This wasn't on the agenda tonight, so there's not really a lot to talk about, but I think it's kind of self-explanatory. So if you guys want to take
And we can just circle back on the next one.
yeah, just it just gives us another platform to keep working towards looking for opportunities. I can get you. Thank you.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Like I said, I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to get much done, but I at least got the updated themes. So
Can I do a little public input on that?
yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, like,
Do you want to look at those?
The listed right here is the list.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, because it was so long ago, some people might have controversial feelings about things at this point. So that's because you guys were 10 years old.
Mhm.
And a lot of them are adults and are viable community members
Yeah.
now. And they may be feeling kind of like, I didn't know anything about this.
Mhm.
I actually wasn't born yet.
Yes.
Shut up.
So
No.
I think
Yes.
yeah,
We're gonna harm him.
Well, and strategic plans are supposed to yeah. And strategic plans are the long thought, they're usually you have a 5, 10, 15, 25-year plan. So we're really not off track. And honestly, what I've found, these types of projects and initiatives, they take a long time. There's a lot of work that has to go into it. And, but we definitely are seeing some of these things be complete. Like the town square, I thought was really interesting because one of their main things they wanted to focus on was a town square, and they had identified some property, and they were like, we need it, we need green space, we need a. And so now we can actually show that, like, hey, we actually accomplished that. Like, that's a pretty cool thing.
Mark
It
that
took a
one.
long time, but it actually is being done. The rezoning of Towers Creek. That taken a while to try and transition it so that you can have a different mix of businesses and residences. The idea of the RV park and campground was a big one that was talked about in here. And, now we're on a pathway to at least having it a little bit more fleshed out and maybe having an opportunity in the future to actually have one and having space. So, it's a lot of these are big, and it was a transition of economies. We were going from an industrial town and a timber town and seeing that downturn. And that's why this was so critical. And so it's taken a long time to kind of build it back up, but that focus on recreation is starting to pay off as well. So
I've just heard some people not be so keen.
I-
And I'm wondering if it's because it was so long ago and
Mhm.
you didn't really.
They didn't remember that it was
remember the
a
process.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Well, I
was
didn't
an
even know the city had done this.
That energy.
I know,
Focus. I think it's great that it's being
yeah,
Yeah.
visited.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea the city did this. I mean, y- if you're not involved in the process, there's a lot of work that takes place, and there's a lot of behind the scenes, and a lot of us living in town, just enjoy living here, and if something's not wrong, most of the time people don't get involved, or if there's not something for them to get involved or a reason to be involved. And so there's a whole lot of Blue Lakers who are just happy being Blue Lakers and like their community, and they're not seeing a need to make a change or to get involved and seeing this. So, and that's okay too. But you can lose a lot of the history if you're not volunteering for the planning commission or on a commission or coming to council meetings or participating in some of this. So it doesn't make anyone wrong or right. It's just what are the priorities or what are your needs. And so I was really happy to find it, honestly. 'Cause I was
kidding.
like, hey,
Yeah.
they've been talking about this a long time. Like, this is great.
And water tower access and Buckley Road access is just not feasible because of liability kind of thing.
Well, just because of private property
Private
ownership
property.
issues. Yeah. And it's not something that would be a big focus
Yeah,
anyway,
I
or a
agree.
big issue. It becomes more of a liability, like you said.
Yeah, I agree.
But there's a lot of trail opportunities.
Oh, sure.
When they talked about even the trail to Swayze Dam,
That would be
And our
that could be
relationship
great.
with the Green Diamond and all that is just so strong. And
Yeah,
those people are so good.
And who would have thought that we would have mountain biking trails on Green Diamond property?
Yeah.
Like, so a lot of things have changed, and they're actually queuing up to make some of these strategies,
More.
giving us capacity to actually implement them. So,
It's very exciting.
Great.
yeah. So if you guys have some time, I know you guys are all busy. So when my son had a ride home from practice, this is it's a pretty easy document to get through, but even if
Yeah.
you maybe like highlighted some of the things that you like, or you see where we could maybe take some of these ideas to build off of them, or, just cross them off completely. There's some ideas that are like, that's not really like, a thing anymore or a real focus. But it would help us to kind of then take this and update this plan and, have it for, the next, 10, 15 years to keep
Mhm.
working towards. So.
Great.
Is the property that the old 299 where the water tower is that Blue Lake property?
Green Diamond.
No.
Okay.
And it's outside city limits as
Okay.
well. Yeah. But in the future, you can annex. There's always potential for something like that too. So,
It's Green Diamond.
Okay.
but yeah, I think, and Green Diamond's been great to work with, and there's just kind of a new thought about utilizing their lands
New
for
way of
other
thinking.
uses. Yeah. And so it's a great time to, continue to build those partnerships.
Yeah.
So I think that's about all I have for you guys.
So
Thank
that
you.
is, okay, thank you. That brings us, Jackie, did you have any more comments on Jennifer? I'm
Jen.
sorry. Thank you. I was catching that.
It's a good committee.
Are there any announcements?
I'm pregnant.
Tarsi.
Well, I can't
You
talk
just
about
had to go.
How could I let that one go? I don't know.
I actually, I am starting a new position next week, and I will be in Eureka till 5, so I may be challenged to be here.
Is that something you guys want to think about? Is adjusting your start time?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm not able to push back just because of fire meetings, but I mean, I guess we could, but have to be out of
We
here by
would hate to
7.
lose you over a time constraint.
I mean,
So what we'd
if
have to
we
start at
moved it to
5:30.
Is there a weekday time that would work?
I don't really
Because
know.
you're stuck to a.
Yeah, I'm starting at the county. So until I
Yeah.
get in there, I really don't know.
If this is something that would be an approved, a sanctioned
Right.
extracurricular
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of.
Oh,
really gonna hope that they'll, because I'm on the museum board also as the
Mhm.
treasurer there. So I have a couple of commitments.
Gosh,
They seemed really game to be accommodating. So
you'll just let us know.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I wanted to definitely kind of let you know that for sure. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we
yeah,
can push back till 5:30.
Yeah. Do you want to just start and then let us know? I mean, even if you're here late, that's okay.
yeah, no, absolutely. Don't,
Okay.
until I get in there, but I wanted to let you know that like next month, probably I'll be an hour late.
Well, congratulations on your
Good
new
enough.
job.
Yeah.
Sure. Congratulations.
It's for insurance purposes. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah, it is what it is. So it's okay.
You might need to go from there straight to the logger after work
I
if
know,
you're doing
right?
insurance stuff. Just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. It's okay. It'll be my goal is to have a remote position so that I can kind of be mobile with my husband next year when he retires. So
yeah.
I'm going to get in there and look for that
Sounds like a good
position.
plan.
Yeah,
Right.
so we'll see. But that will change up my attendance on time for sure.
For a while.
Yeah, for a while. And I'll
And then you
definitely
guys
start
could,
push for
as a
that.
committee, could or commission could talk about your times and hours or
Is
whatever.
it maybe a different day of the week? Because there's more county holidays on Mondays than
Oh,
on Tuesdays.
yeah.
That
I mean, you
is
guys are a
15
really early
holidays or
commission
something.
too.
Yeah.
4:30 has always been kind of a bit of a weird time,
It
but
is a weird time.
I know. I think it
I
used to
think
be
we used to be
4.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But any earlier would be we'd lose Darcy.
it would have to be later, which would be
Unless we did an early morning. I don't know how anybody
Good
feels about
call.
not like like 9:30.
Cindy would have
9:30, I
struggles,
mean
yeah.
early,
6 a.m.
not like 6, not like the
9.
Sunrise Rotary early.
Oh.
That's
They're crazy.
But I just wanted to put it out there so that,
Okay.
if nothing, we'll see how it rolls. But I
Well,
will definitely advocate for getting off once a month, getting off work, an hour early.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
work
Cool.
through my lunch or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm happy to do those things. So, because I would not,
Change it to
I don't want to
5:30.
miss,
We have to
5:30
have
seems
your-
late for everybody, for dinners and kids. And,
Oh, a lot of our commissions start at 7.
oh, do they?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, 'cause a
Well,
lot of
I
people
mean,
get
I'm
off work.
happy to come here later. Yeah.
5 would work for me. We've got meetings at 7, so
Yeah, 5 at least would be totally fine with me too.
that gives us 2 hours.
to push it back a half hour. All right, can we
I think
maybe
you have to
put
do it
that
next
on our
month.
next
Yeah.
agenda to
Mhm.
discuss?
Yeah.
That'd be good
I
because
appreciate it.
switched my floor time to Tuesdays because
Oh.
I neglected to put this on my calendar. But I switched it this week back so that I could make this meeting. But if it were at
What's a
5,
floor
it'd be
time?
better.
Oh.
Oh, that's when you sit in the real estate office and wait for somebody to call.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I'm like, you're
Or come in.
All the walk-ins.
All of the internet. Not a lot.
Okay, so a future agenda item we have discuss the timing of our
Yeah.
meetings.
Thank you.
And with that, um,
Oh, the other future agenda item, maybe rehash this if
Yeah.
you guys want to.
Ideas, contributions, changes.
Just so that we
Comments.
keep that on the
Mandy, when
back burner.
we
Strategic
peruse
vision.
this and make some notes and things, what
Mhm.
do you want us to do with that after we do that?
I think what we could do is just bring them back to the table and we'll just have a group discussion and I can take some notes and
During
maybe
this
just
meeting?
update. Yeah.
Okay.
And we could maybe just break down into that format since that's the format they used. We'll just kind of do it together.
Great.
Make sense?
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks for
Thank
coming,
you.
Chance.
Thank
Good
you.
to see ya.
See ya.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth? We're adjourned.
Great.
Thanks.